What up, my fellow dorks? It is the Turtle Dork here with a new review for you today of The Mandalorian Chapter 7. This one was called
The Reckoning.
The Reckoning. I am the Turtle Dork. This is the DiscoDork, and we are going to break this shit down to the best that we can. So yeah, man. Welcome back.
Yay!
I had to do a solo review and reaction, which wasn't too bad, but yeah. So episode 6, you caught up on that?
Yeah, I caught up on that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we start with that, what you think of episode 6? I know we talked about it briefly over the phone, but what you think to the YouTube audience out here? What was your overall impressions of episode chapter 6? What was that called? The Prisoner?
Is that what it was called?
Yeah, Prisoner.
Oh, okay.
You got your man Bill Burr, Clancy Brown,
Yeah.
OSHA from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, a little ragtag, little team of mercenaries that go on this New Republic ship, and zany things happen.
Is that what it was? It was zany. You know, you can't ask me how. You can't ask me about that episode after watching this episode.
I know. I just want to get it caught up because we missed you last week.
It's a stark contrast, I think, and it if I'm telling you, if every episode of The Mandalorian was like The Reckoning, in regards to
like the way
the plot,
yeah,
not even just the way it's set up, but just the things that are going on and its relevance to like the characters and the characters and relevance to the things that are going on, like because the Prisoner episode, what happened in that episode that
ties into where we are now,
right?
Like, well, and that was the issue that we talked about before with these last 3 episodes. Well, like I explained with 4 and 5, I felt like okay, those episodes were to introduce certain characters that now we're starting to see those characters come back, like Gina Carano's character, even though Ming-Na, we don't know anything, and if that isn't tied up next episode, then what was that episode for? Unless they're going to carry that over to season 2. But anyway, last week for me, even though it was a lot of fun, nothing from that carries over to the main plot of where this show ultimately is going. And again, all that stuff could change by next week when we see everything next week. But yeah, so getting into this episode, so we start off with Carl Weathers' character giving a call to Mando when he's in space on the ship. So he's like, look, I'm still alive, no hard feelings, you tried to kill me, but we still cool though. But, by the way, the client, he turned on us, so we actually need you to come back and help us out. Like, that just sounds like a setup.
Yeah, so it's pretty obvious. I don't even know that the show was trying to hide that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with like that's a familiar trope, right? Especially in this show that has been paying homage and using familiar tropes and stuff like that. I don't even think that it was a veiled attempt at what was supposed to happen. But I mean, that's what sets this particular episode in motion. I don't know, man, but it does make you, because we remarked this when we were watching it, it makes you go, okay, why would Mando agree to go back? Like, that don't make any sense.
Yeah, because he's already left, and he know like the reason that he left the guild and that planet, which I think was called Navarro, under the circumstances. So to just randomly get a call from, and my apologies for not remembering Carl Weathers' character's name, but to get that call and to say, all right, we good, but I need you to come back just out of the blue. You're right. That just seems like, and there's no reason except for the incentive of him to get paid to help out with another job.
Yeah.
So I just didn't really get why he would go back. Cause there was nothing pulling him to go back because he already had Baby Yoda, unless he was just thinking to himself like, look, they're going to continue to chase me, so maybe I just need to kind of go. Again, I joked about Mad Max Fury Road, but it's just like, all right, we're going this way, but you know what, in order to end this, maybe I got to go back to where it started, so maybe that was his rationale, maybe that was his thinking.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway,
but yeah, so then he's so once he gets that call, he knows he needs some reinforcements. He gets to get some backup. So Cardoon, her name is Gina Carano. We get reintroduced back to her. So what do you think of seeing her again, and especially like he goes back to that planet from episode 4, and she's kind of doing her MMA thing, having a little fight in this little bar, but that whole thing with Gina Carano, it's great to see her back as well. And I thought, as far as acting wise, I thought, especially when we get to a lot of the stuff in the later in this episode, especially a lot of the stuff on the ship, especially when they're trying to like come up with the plan of what they're going to do before they meet up with Carl Weathers. Like I like the banter and the interaction. There's just something about, like, I found myself really kind of taking more to her character.
She seemed to have grown comfortable in the role now, which is good. So I think she's found her footing. I enjoyed all that. You know what? When they went back to that planet when they introduced her and she's fighting in that bar.
Yeah.
How come they didn't show like that lady from that one particular episode that they were
the romantic
that you said that they were cultivating some type of connection, like they totally,
because he was in a rush, man. He ain't had time to go back and say what's up.
But you're gonna spend a whole episode trying to build, develop this character, this connection that you was talking about. You know what that is? He came back to that planet and he was like, "I'll show this lady, I'm gonna go here. Get my business taken care of. I'm gonna be out."
Look, man,
he ghosted her basically.
I don't want to say he ghosted her, but I mean, look, he had other priorities he had to deal with.
I know.
Like he had like some serious shit he had to take care of.
Right, he couldn't even say hi.
He ain't got time for that. Like, look,
damn, 2 seconds, hi.
Yeah, but then she's gonna be like, "All right, you want to come play with the kids? You want to come have some soup or nah?"
How do you know that?
It's like, I ain't got time for that. I don't know. That's where you went looking at that scene.
I'm sorry, I don't know. My mind just be going weird places.
I see. Good Lord. But we get we also meet up with Quill that we saw in the first couple of episodes, voiced by Nick Nolte, who I thought, again, great characterization. He has a great moment on the ship with a little conflict between him and Cardoon on the ship, where she kind of questions, I guess, some of his loyalties. Mm-hmm. But before we get there, the whole little interaction with him reprogramming IG-11. Now, we know that Mando doesn't like droids regardless. And Kara kind of call him out on it. And he's like, no, I just don't like that droid because they're programmed to kill. So I don't care what Quill did. I'm not leaving this baby around him. Yeah. But, so we get a little bit of, like, getting caught up as far as what happened when Mando left that planet. Quill went back to get IG-11, reprogrammed him, basically to become, like, his helper, his servant.
But I think the payoff to all that is going to be in the next episode. Yeah, because we see, I'm skipping ahead at the end of this episode, Quill gets killed. But it's established in this particular sequence that you're talking about that IG developed his own personality through his interactions with Quill and what was happening. So, and I'm sure there's a fondness there for him. And once he finds out that Quill is dead, and because right now at the end of the episode, Cara and Mando, and they're pinned down.
They're pinned down by Giancarlo Esposito's character, who
and a lot of friggin' stormtroopers. Yeah. So I kind of see IG-11,
And I think the next episode is going to be when he kind of proves his loyalty to Mando, because he's questioning him right now. But I think IG-11, whether it's through a sacrifice or just doing something to save someone else, is going to show in the next episode. And also going to the fact of in honor of Quill as well, for what Quill did for IG-11. Yeah. I think he's going to have a big moment, hopefully in the next episode. But yeah, those are all the players that are set up. So then we get, when he finally meets back up, when he goes back to Navarro, meets back up with Carl Weathers, they do find out that, okay, everything was a setup. So we kind of get to that ending. Well, I don't want to skip past the
Yoda thing.
Yeah, the fire scene at night, the campfire scene, because they're attacked by some Game of Thrones dragons. Drogon comes back, y'all.
Space Drogon.
Space Drogon comes back, they attack them, and in that attack, Carl Weathers gets injured. His hand gets kind of mutilated a little bit, and they're trying to help him out and bandage him up, and then Baby Yoda comes over, heals him, almost in the same way that he kind of healed or tried to heal Mando, I think in episode 2, I believe. So then that changes Carl Weathers' mind. I kind of wish I knew his name. My bad, y'all. But that kind of changes his whole thought process as far as look, we was gonna set y'all motherfuckers up, but this baby just saved my life. So look, whatever y'all need, I'm with y'all, man. Let's try to take out Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
So then that sets up what we get at the ending. But what you think of that whole thing? Because that was kind of surprising. Last thing I was expecting was dragons to come in.
They're not dragons, man. They're just space creatures or something, man. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I mean, obviously, because this entire time up until this moment, ever since that episode where the child, whatever they're calling it, Baby Yoda, sorry, internet, saved Mando by using his force powers to levitate that giant beast thing.
Yeah.
He hadn't really been using it. They haven't used that as much, but there have been plenty of instances where he could have, and in my opinion, should have helped out.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that they haven't completely abandoned it, and I'm curious to see. Well, and also it wasn't just used just because we haven't shown him doing it in a while. It was a purpose. It did have a significant impact on the characters, especially Carl Weathers.
Weathers, yeah, and I like that moment too with Cardoon when they're doing the arm wrestling thing.
Yeah,
that was a great. I almost missed that, but that was a great scene, which I thought that. Well, they might still be setting that up.
That might be they might call back to that later because
in the next episode,
if something happens to Mando
and
someone's, like Carl and Giancarlo Esposito's character is about to kill him or something like that, Baby Yoda could just choke his ass.
Yeah, because you wouldn't introduce force choking unless it's going to pay off in a pretty significant way, and I got a feeling that they're going to do that in the next episode. Yeah. So I like how they put those little nuggets in there as well, which I thought was a great scene because we haven't really seen force choking since Darth Vader did it back in A New Hope.
But it also showed it's not just beyond the display of his powers or whatever, but it also it's a characterization of Baby Yoda to show that he has this. He has a protective instinct towards the Mandalorian, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot, especially, and they do that a little bit, especially when they come up with that plan to separate, and Quill has to take Baby Yoda, and you see that he's got a little bit of separation anxiety when they're walking away, and he's like, no.
I think you were just projecting that because he didn't even make a noise.
No, but he looks sad though.
His eyes are just big.
Yeah, but the camera lingered on him as he was walking away, so it's implied that he.
I think you just put it because you were getting separation anxiety.
No, he was. He was like, what? Because he was like, Quill, what are you doing? He could have used some force powers right there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe he was just.
He was cool. He was like, I'm good.
Nah,
I'm going back on the spaceship. I like flying the spaceship. Apparently, because the motherfucker was flying it early in the episode.
Oh, dude.
I knew that was happening too. As soon as that Joker started shaking, I was like, he's flying that ship.
Oh man. So we lose a couple of characters. Werner Herzog.
Damn, dog.
It was cool though.
He better have a flask in his damn jacket like Carl Weathers, man. Nah. You can't kill Werner Herzog like that, man.
But we get Space Gus. He's in here.
Space Gus Fring is in the building, y'all.
So now he's finally introduced. So he's gonna have a significant part in the season finale. Still a little bit of mystery as far as who he is, but we know that there is a connection. And he even says it in the episode. I believe he said it in the episode where he mentions something as far as Baby Yoda is more important to me or has more of a connection. I'm paraphrasing, but he mentions that later in towards the end of the episode. And we see some classic characters and stuff like that. We've seen some from Return of the Jedi, and I forget the name of that particular stormtroopers, that we see from
the speeder bikes.
Yeah, the speeder bikes and all that. So that was all great to see. But that's pretty much everything with this episode. I guess going into the season finale, knowing that Taika Waititi is directing the season finale, I think what Deborah Chow has done with episode 3, chapter 3, and with this one, knowing that she's going to do the full season of Obi-Wan, the way she teed this up for Taika, and knowing the creativity that Taika has just with his own material, I am extremely curious just what this season finale is going to be. Yeah. Tonally, like, is he going to bring a little bit of his flavor into Star Wars?
He would have to.
Yeah, or like, is he a fan where you're going to be able to see him kind of be more adaptive to the Star Wars canon and be able and play within that world? But I'm just so curious to see what he's going to do.
I think more than anything, Taika's tone and his voice will shine through in that way. Granted, he's gonna abide by the parameters and the rules of the Star Wars universe, but as far as what he does with characterizations, with humor, but also because you look at stuff like What We Do in the Shadows or The Hunt for the Wilder People, Jojo Rabbit, where this is comedy, but then at some point in each one of those films, there's this gut punch of emotion, like with Ricky Baker in the beginning, what sets him off into the woods with Sam Neill's character. Like that sudden tragedy, like, oh shit, like we were laughing and joking a few moments ago. This zany, New Zealand humor or brand of humor, and now all of a sudden, like, there's this emotional gut punch, like in the end of the first act of the movie. You look at What We Do in the Shadows, like it's this goofy, silly mockumentary or whatever, but then there's like this real emotional connection between Taika's character and that old lady with the loss of the flatmate. I'm not going to spoil which one if you haven't seen it, but you should definitely watch that movie. And then just the relationships between those guys. So like he's very capable of, I think, juggling the tone of having some comedic beats, but also handling the seriousness of it and to making you care or actually feel something for the characters and whatever happens to him. So I don't know. I'm excited.
I'm excited, and I think, and again, what I think we see a little bit of that in this penultimate episode with what Deborah Chow was doing with, again, a lot of these moments between the connection, like you said, the protective nature of Baby Yoda to Mando, and just what we've established throughout the course of chapters 1 through 7 between Mando and Baby Yoda, and how Taika is able to kind of, how he's able to handle those type of relationships just recently with a movie that's up for awards this year with Jojo Rabbit. So how he can work with those type of parental relationships. And like you say, and we've seen comedy throughout this whole season, whether it's like just little moments, even this episode with him like controlling the ship. So to bring in that as well, I don't know, man. I'm really, really curious. Now, I like what Deborah Chow did in this episode, and I think, and because this was a cliffhanger, which I wasn't expecting this episode to be a cliffhanger, that last shot just shocked me because I wasn't expecting Quill to get killed because he's such a great character. But because it's a cliffhanger, it just feels like, all right, next week, we're going to start. I mean, most episodes kind of sort of have been like that, but we are just going to be going from the beginning. And so I'm curious, man. I'm really excited, and I'm curious about tonally how and pacing wise how next week is going to go. I guess those are our thoughts for Chapter 7, The Reckoning for Mandalorian. Check out the podcast on Apple Podcast and everywhere podcasts can be found at ItModcast. Check out our other dorks at WB Dash, at MouthDork, at Sidewalk Siren. I have to make sure I'm trying to recall this. Darren just does it off the top of the dome whenever we do the podcast, so I'm trying to get on his level. I'm getting there a little bit. Check him out at the DiscoDork. I am the TurtleDork, and with that, we're out.